Well, with popular demand of the Battle of Saratoga game, I found Jim, and he's going to talk about his awesome Revolutionary War game. So take it away, Jim.
So this is the Battle of Freeman's Farm, which took place in mid-September 1777. It represents General Burgoyne's army trying to struggle through the upstate New York woods at the time to reach Albany. But before they could get there, they had to overcome the American army under General Gates. And Gates had dug in behind some rather large earthworks, heavily studded with artillery. And in this particular battle of Freeman's Farm, this is where Benedict Arnold, Major General Benedict Arnold, the George Patton of his time, started feeding soldiers out onto the battlefield to stop General Burgoyne and inflict some rather serious casualties on him.
All right. Well, can you point out some specifics on your beautiful laid out table?
So we're going to take a look at Freeman's Farm, which is actually the centerpiece of the game. And what happened around Freeman's Farm is that General Morgan, Daniel Morgan, led his riflemen and select company or battalion of picked light infantry out to secure the farm and first encountered the British. And the battle was on, and both sides started feeding more troops in. The brigade that's here in the center is General Hamilton's brigade, and this brigade took a rather severe beating in this battle and was never the same afterwards. And this effectively derailed Burgoyne's army from really mustering enough troops to push through and trying to capture Albany.
So on the opposite side are the Continentals, correct?
Yep. And so Morgan's men are over there in the plowed field. And what you see, those trees that are scattered about without leaves in the field, Freeman was a loyalist, and he was actually serving with Burgoyne's army. These trees represent what are called girdle trees in the 18th century, maybe even today. One of the ways to clear a field to make it into a farm was to strip the bark off around the bottom of the tree, let the tree die, and then chop the tree down. A lot easier to take down a dead tree than it is a live one. And so these represent the girdle trees that were scattered around Freeman's farm.
Wow, the detail is incredible.
Freeman was growing wheat and rye, according to a National Park historian at Saratoga, Eric Schnitzer. So we've placed a green field for rye and a yellow field for wheat next to Freeman's farm.
Okay. Now, what's it, the 24th Regiment of Foot?
So the 24th Regiment of Foot is going to be off to the right under Fraser's brigade, which is a rather large and oversized brigade. And they're going to be the green flag unit up on the hill in the far right. So all of these troops were taught to fight almost as light infantry. They had a very unique hat, a small cap. And the reason they went to that is so that they would all look like and be in the mindset that they were light infantry, ready to fight in the woods. You see the stands deployed spaced apart. The British Army at this time was very adept at fighting what was called open order, where there would be about an arm's length between each file of men. And this enabled them to move through heavier terrain, such as woods, and not worry about getting out of linear formation.
Now, being military history-wise, what's any other special history on the 24th Regiment of Foot?
No, so it's just one of the more famous regiments that served during this battle because they were regarded as one of the better regiments in Burgoyne's army. But there were some other pretty good line regiments in here as well. Probably one of the unique things about this army, much like many of the American units, none of the soldiers had ever experienced combat. So for many of them, this was their first significant combat action of the campaign.
Wow. Now I'm going to pause the camera and we'll come back to you to talk about the rules you're using. So hold on. All right, well, we're back with Jim to talk about the rules he's using for this incredible game. Take it away, Jim.
So the rules that we're using are British Grenadier, our club who plays this, and we often put on games at the HMGS conventions. We like the feel of this rule set. We feel it's a good rule set for this period. The reason being is they're not casualty heavy. It's more morale-based and interaction-based on how a brigade is going to fight. So the casualties, just as in the real war, are relatively low. It's a flexible rule set where you can fight at a scale of 10 to 1, 15 to 1, or 20 to 1. And this particular battle that we put on this weekend at Historicon was in scale of 15 to 1. So every figure you see on the board represents 15 actual men in the battle.
How many total figures do you have out here to represent this battle? So in 15 millimeter scale, I mean, there's a lot of figures out here.
So that's a good question, and I don't have a good answer because there's a lot of figures out there. Roughly every unit that's out here is approximately 20 men. Some are a little bit bigger, again, on the scale of 15 to 1. Some are 24, 28 figure battalions. Of course, the term in the 18th century battalion and regiment being almost interchangeable. So the British have about 3 brigades out. A brigade would be made up of anywhere from 3 to 5 regiments at the time. And the Americans have 3 brigades out. And most of their brigades at this particular battle, were made up of 5 regiments.
And I know I get questions on my YouTube, what are these blue-coated guys here? Because someone's going to say they're not wearing red. Are they Continentals?
So there's a number of types of troops that fought with General Burgoyne on this campaign. Of course, he had the famous redcoats, which wear red coats, as you can see in the miniatures here. Also serving with General Burgoyne were Brunswick troops from the German state of Brunswick. They were not mercenaries. They fought in their national uniforms under their national flags on behalf of their prince. Yes, they were rented out to the Crown of England to supplement their own troops, but they were not mercenaries in the strictest sense we understand today. Also in blue coats would be the Royal Artillery. Royal Artillerymen wore blue coats faced red, and they modified their caps just as the infantry did for this campaign. In addition to the blue coats are going to be loyalists serving with General Burgoyne's army.
And loyalists are?
Loyalists are, so approximately in this war, 1/3 of the civilian population was American, inclined to the Patriots, 1/3 was neutral, and about 1/3 was loyal still to the King and Crown of England. So local men would volunteer, especially in this campaign, to go out and serve under arms to fight on behalf of King George. So they were rated in this game as militia, so they were not professional soldiers.
Wow. Well, this table's incredible. So I guess we'll call it a night. And any messages for any of the friends that we have, that we both have friends within the reenacting community? I'll make sure Dave Bybee gets a copy of this.
So hello to all the reenactors out there. There's many reenactors here at the convention, and if you don't come out this weekend, hopefully we will see you at the Fall In convention in November in Lancaster at the Lancaster Wyndham, the old Host Hotel.
All right, well, stay safe, be kind, be courteous in YouTube world. Thank you to Jim for doing this.
Thank you, Bill.